In Google SketchUp, there are multiple ways, as with everything, that you can draw a space. If you are trying to create just an exterior view of a building, or basically a simple plan, you would just measure the perimeter and begin to outline it in Google SketchUp, and then you will go from there. What that is called is creating an as-built. An as-built is a drawing of an existing building, and those details are already provided for you because you're going inside of a space and taking the existing measurements. When you are beginning to draw the interior model of a building, and you will want to have the accurate interior spaces, then you will need to work not from your exterior walls, but from your inside walls. You will begin drawing the inside measurements, typing them in so that they are accurate, and then from there you're going to use a command known as your offset, which we learned in AutoCAD, to create your exterior wall thicknesses. Let's go ahead and begin to draw the floor plan that we have in front of us. This is a simple floor plan where you have only interior measurements of a particular space. So starting with my line tool, I can begin to draw. Now I have already begun and set up my drawing space. However, for many of us, we would need to set our drawing space up to look such as mine. What I have done is I have switched my drawing from a 3D model, which is what we normally jump in as when we are working in our Google SketchUp. I've switched it to a 2D model so that I can work up above and over my drawings. To get to this 2D model space, you will simply go to your camera tools, go under standard views and select top. The top will then place your drawing so that you have your red horizontal axis and your green vertical axis. Many of us may still have our Laura or our woman or human figure that is placed on our drawing screen. You can simply click on her and select delete, or once you click on your blue line and select delete, she will delete as well. I also have changed my drawing from perspective, as many of you may still be in, by simply going to my camera and turning on my parallel projection. When you have your parallel projection on and you have switched out of your perspective drawing, it will help make the plans a lot easier to read in the 2D. Using my line tool, I'm going to go ahead and begin to draw my border. Right now, I have currently my rubber banding on. Remember, when we are rubber banding, once we create a line, the line will continue along until we press escape to end the command. When we are drawing something that we already have measurements for, I will highly suggest that you have your rubber banding method turned on. Remember to turn this on and off. You will go to Windows for PC users and then SketchUp for Mac users. Scroll down to Preferences, click on Drawing, and you want to make sure that Continue Line is clicked and check marked. Simply press OK. So using this line tool, I'm going to go ahead and draw in the first measurement. Remember that I want to make sure my line is straight. So to know that I'm straight, I will be on the green axis. So I'm going to type in 20 feet to be exact, and press enter. And then from there, move my cursor or my pencil in the next direction, and that top length is 17 feet. If your length was 17 feet and 2 inches, you would just simply type in 17 and then the feet and then the number 2. You won't need to ever type in inches when you are in Google SketchUp because the default is already in inches. What you need to specify is whether you want your drawing to be or the length in feet. So moving down to the next, I'm going to type in 12 feet. And I'm just simply typing it in once I'm moving the direction that I will need to. As you can see, your length is populating over here in your right hand measurement box at the bottom of your screen. That next distance, as seen here, is 7 feet. And I'm doing all of our measurements that are in red. 8 feet. And I'm simply pressing enter. And I can either pop right to my endpoint or I can type in that measurement, which is 10 feet. As you can see, we have now closed the shape. And when we close the shape, we have created a face to our drawing. And we know that we have a face because it now populates in the light blue color. From this point, we will want to go ahead now and begin to create our exterior walls. When we are putting in our exterior walls, we will use our offset tool. Our offset tool is located next to our push-pull. And we can offset the exterior walls all at one time. To do this, once I select my offset tool, I am going to select the edge of any one of the lines that make the perimeter. Once I have selected the line, I can move my cursor to the outside for my exterior, but if we were jumping inside, I will pull my drawing in. However, I am creating an exterior thickness, and we're going to say our exterior thickness is 8 inches. So we're going to type in the number 8, and you can press enter, or you may apply the inch sign if you like. If you do not apply the inch sign, it is okay because the default is already in inches. So once you type in your distance, you're going to press enter, and as you can see, it jumps and populates to where it needs to be. I can simply go to my select tool to come out of the command. At this time, now you should have 2 faces on your drawing. So as I scroll in, if I click on the area in between my interior and exterior walls, the whole entire border populates. And then if I click inside, then I also have another face. Now what I want to do now is go ahead and begin to group my faces. By grouping my faces, it allows you to turn on different parts of your model. So this is the same thing that we learned in our AutoCAD when we were creating layers. So we can turn on our furniture layer, our miscellaneous layer, our guide layer. You can do the same as well in Google SketchUp. And this is called grouping. So because I want my exterior walls all to be as one group, what I'm going to do is go ahead and select the space that makes up my exterior border. Go to edit, and I'm going to click on make group. And now that a group is made, a blue square gives me a border to let me know that this is one group. Clicking inside of my space, everything is one. And clicking on the exterior lets me know that this is the group that which holds my exterior walls if I need to turn them on or off later. Once you have created your first group, the saying in SketchUp is that now you have moved from the beginner to an intermediate user of the SketchUp program, because now this is considered to be an advanced technique. It is an advanced technique because it is now putting you on the verge of learning how to separate and organize your drawing as you move further in the Google SketchUp program. From here, now we can begin to create our interior walls. To create the interior walls, before we make them permanent walls, it is always advised to go ahead and use your tape measure to create guidelines. So using my tape measure tool, I'm going to go ahead and begin to draw the area off to my right. I am seeing that from this point in, I have a measurement of 6 feet. And I already know the measurement between these interior walls will be 6 inches because that's what I was told, at least if that's what you've been told ahead of time. So knowing that, I have my tape measure, and I'm just going to measure in a line, and I'm going to take it to 6 feet. And obviously that is half of this wall. So I'm going to go ahead now and draw in my guideline. Your guidelines can be offsetted as well. Or you can simply draw another guideline. And in doing so, I'm going to find this mark. I'm going to create my parallel guideline, and it is telling me up here that it needs to come out 9 feet 3 inches. Or I can just type in 9 feet 3. And there we have our endpoint there. So now I have already begun to divide my space. To come out of this, I can simply press escape or go to my selector and then come out of the command. If I want to create that wall thickness, I can click and then I can drop this over 6 inches. And go ahead and place my guideline up. And then I can do the same here and go up 6 inches. Once that mark is made, you can zoom in. See, it didn't take it. I have to go again. And now that that mark is made, I can go ahead and draw my guideline across. Well, it won't take it. In some instances, it may be a little stubborn for you, but that's okay. You can just go ahead and leave the small marker in place. At this time, you can go ahead and take your line tool and begin to create your line just on top of your guideline. Once you have created your lines on top of your guideline, you can go through and erase any of your guidelines that you no longer need. Sometimes with erasing the guidelines, you may need to zoom in to kind of really hover over them. And if for any reasons that some lines are out of place, you can always scroll into your drawing and move them into place. Just in case you were scrolled out of your drawing too much. And for some reason, your drawing was off. Now, this doesn't happen much. What I'm doing here, however, there are instances when you are scrolled out of your drawing too much and you may be off of your guidelines. But as you can see, it is kind of a quick fix. Just placing them where they need to go. Selecting lines and using the simple commands that we've all learned before. There you go. And if for any reason that the line still appears to be a little off, you can just erase what was straight, what was not straight, and then go ahead and continue a line. And what I'm going to do, I have purposely left off adding this piece because what I want to do is show you how to check your measurements. You're going to select on your dimension line, and you're going to click from endpoint to endpoint. We have discussed this before, but just as a refresher, clicking from endpoint to endpoint using your dimension line gives you your dimension right on your screen. And I'm going to go ahead and just extend this line right on up. So now we have created our spacing as seen on our example hand drawing that was provided for us. At this time, we would now begin to go ahead and notice all of the different faces that we have created. But noticing that our interior walls are separated, but we want them all to function as one wall. So if that's the case, we can just go ahead and grab our erase tool and erase what is stopping them from functioning as one unit. When you use your select item, now you can see that you have your interior wall, your room 1, room 2, another room, and now you also have your exterior walls. Now that everything is created and we have a nice perimeter and outline, we can begin now to work in our 3D. But before working in 3D, we must switch over from 2D to 3D. Once you switch from 2D to 3D, the next step would then be to start extruding our models. And that's pulling our walls up so that they now have some type of height to them. So before we do that, we have to now go back to our camera. We want to change our camera to perspective. Now we have turned on the perspective, and now we can see things more realistic as they begin to come to life with our 3D creation. We also can go back to our camera, go to our standard views, and choose ISO so that our drawing can have an isometric look to that. Also, you can use your camera zoom extend if you would like to get in and pull a little bit closer to your drawing. Another thing for us to do after we've created and set our zoom extends, you can go back to camera and you can change your field of view. The default will be the 35 degrees as you can see at the right corner of your screen. But we want to go ahead and change ours to 45. And once we do that, we can press enter. And again, it just gives you another nice view so that you can see all of your drawing and all of the walls as they need to be for you. Now, these adjustments is all up to you. I definitely recommend when you are going into your 3D drawing that you do come out of your 2D space and change your camera views to isometric or ISO. But changing your field of view, you can keep it at 35, 40. It's all up to you and how you would like for it to look on your screen. From here, now we can begin to pull up our interior and then our exterior walls. Using our push-pull tool, we can hover over our interior walls, left-click them, and begin to pull them up. Simply typing in the height of our ceiling. So if these ceiling walls were 8 feet, we would type in 8 feet and press enter. In doing so, now our interior walls have snapped to the 8 feet ceiling height. Now that we are in need of pulling up our exterior walls, if you notice when you click on them and you try to use your push-pull command, they're froze right now. So what you will need to do is use your select item. Once you select it, you can left click to go ahead and edit your group. In editing your group, it's going to leave your floor flat and only pull up your exterior walls, and it won't touch anything else. So in doing so, we can now grab our exterior walls and pull them up to the 8 feet height, or taller if need be, if this was a taller space. Now that we have them pulled up, I'm going to press my select tool to come out of the command. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and use my orbit tool to kind of now orbit in my drawing so that I can see some things and how it looks inside of my space. I'm also going to go ahead and select my entire drawing. Now that I have that selected, I'm going to go to edit and I'm going to go to copy. Just to go ahead and create more than one, if it lets me. Copy for us to view. It's already selected. There we go. And I'm going to go to edit and paste. I'm just going to paste this right here. Now I have placed 2 copies on my screen so that I can show you something on one and do not mess up the other drawing. We now have a first floor on our drawing. If for any instance you need to create a second floor because you have 2 floors in your space, you will simply use your orbit tool and then you will begin to trace the inside perimeter of your exterior walls with your pencil tool or your line tool. And I'm just simply going around the border from end point to end point. And remember, in doing so, when I connect the last part, I create a floor. Now that our floor is created, it is showing me a couple areas where I have walls already. Those walls may go up to the second floor and they may not. It is up to you at this point. From here, we will create a floor thickness that lies between your joists for each of your spaces. And in doing so, we are going to go ahead and group things together. Now that you have these up, go ahead and create a floor thickness. I'm going to create a floor thickness of 3 inches for all of my flooring. Remember, I can constantly type in 3 inches, or I can pull one of my sides up and pull it over with my cursor, and as soon as it says on edge, it lets me know that it's going to be at the same height or at the end point of the previous object that I'm pulling it over to. So now I have pulled up my floor thickness, but I'm going to now also go ahead and pull up my wall heights. And I want to pull my wall heights up to 8 feet again. Using my orbit tool, I'm just going to do a quick orbit and then come back down just to take a look at how it looks when I am orbited together. At this time, I want to go ahead and group together a few items. I want to group together my interior walls, my floor, and the ceiling of the level that is beneath me. So this way that I can be sure that my second floor remains separate from my first floor. Remember, in grouping things together, we again are going to keep our drawing organized. In order for me to group these interior walls and my floor or my ceiling from the first floor together, what I need to do is go to my camera view, and I'm going to go back to top. So that way I can see everything that is in my drawing. As you can see here, everything is separate for the first floor. But now let's go ahead and make everything as one for the second floor. So I'm going to select one of my faces. Hold down the shift key to select the next one and the next one. And then from there, go ahead and select inside of my interior walls. Then I'm going to left click and I'm going to scroll down to where it says make group. So now everything on the second floor is one component and box together. So as I begin to make changes on my second floor, they will not affect of what's going on my first floor. Again, this is now organizing our drawings. Some like to organize and do things in their drawings separately, but some like to go ahead and organize them as you go. I think that it is best to organize your drawing as you go before you get further down the line, and then you need to go back and try to do some organizing and things will begin to get messy. From here, you can now move your camera or your drawing back to the ISO view, and then also you can begin to edit your exterior walls to pull that group up as well. Noticing that your floor remains down, and now you're just pulling up your exterior walls again to 8 feet. Once you are done, you can simply click in any of the gray open space, use your orbit command, and as you can see, you have created a 2-story structure.